Good evening. Tonight we're going to cover one of 24, the detailed drawing of this particular item using Inventor. So we're going to use Autodesk Inventor to do this. We've got the model open. You cannot create a detailed drawing without a model. The way to create the model, I have to open this up in a few, real quick here. We've got our model. If we go to File and we go to New, okay, we also you cannot use export because that just creates PDFs. You actually go to File, New, and what you want to create is what's called a drawing. That'll generate a detailed drawing. You could go to New itself, and then you'll get this dialog box of creating drawings. And what we're going to do is go to English, and here, down here, we're going to make a IDW, not a DWG. IDW is an Inventor drawing file. DWG would be an AutoCAD file. So we're actually going to do an IDW. If I go up here and just go to File, New, I don't see IDW. I see Drawing, DWG, as a default. If I click on this and wait a few moments, we'll see what pops open. It does take us into an IDW as well. And this is what an IDW looks like. It's an Inventor drawing file versus an AutoCAD drawing file. So if you go to New, and you go to New here, and you pick ANSI IDW, and you hit Create, it'll pop open another IDW. Got it? So either way, whether you go to File, New, not that one, I'm sorry, File, leave my mouse there for a minute and pick Drawing here, or File, New, and pick it here, either way will result in the same outcome as far as where you start, right here. So now I have 3 drawing files. I'll delete the first 2, and here I am with the first one. The default setting, if you out of the box, is the very large file type drawing file. It is technically what size? This is size D. It's a D size drawing. You will not make any drawings in D size. You will only do A size drawings in here, which means 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Okay? You won't have a choice on that. So your first order of business is to make sure that your paper size is correct. It's not to insert your views, because if you insert your views and assess everything in terms of D size paper, that's a huge sheet of paper. To prove the point, if I jump online, and remember, you have, if I looked up D-size paper, you're going to find out there's ANSI A, B, C, and D. It's a 22 by 34 sheet of paper. It is very, very large. It is not the size paper we're going to be working with in this room. We are doing A size. So then the bigger question is, where do we find this? How do I change my paper size? And can I ever create a template of, once I do set up my paper and everything's perfect, for those of you that have your own laptops, the answer is yes. Once you have a perfect border with a title block the way you want it, size paper you want, you can save it as a template. Yes. For those of you using these computers in this room, the answer is yeah, you got to save it on your flash drive, because the default, when you do template, won't work. Meaning, when you go to File, New, and you go here, if it doesn't reside on your computer, it's not going to pick the correct template. It's going to pick the one that belongs to the computer. If you're using your laptop, it will be your template. So if you're using your toys, that's fine. But if you're using our toys, no. You technically don't have a template. There's a way around it, but it's not as simple as now I can just pick it. So keep that in mind. In here, if the first thing you want to do is figure out how to change your sheet size. That's your priority. So when you go up here, I'm going to do this a little bit at a time just so you see the process. When you look at a drawing file, an IPT is Inventor part file, correct? So an IP, is it an IPN? What is it? What's IPN? When we go to New, You have IPTs, you have IPNs, those are presentation. You have IDWs, which is a drawing file. You have IAMs, which are assembly files. Assembly files are next. That's what we'll talk about in a couple of weeks. What we've spent our time in is IPTs, and now we're going to spend some time in IDWs. We are going to spend time in IAMs and making a sheet metal of an IPT. That'll come up later. So when we are in here, your views presentations are like, if I want to drop my views, bring in a base view, projected views, all that's up here. Draft is something that's useful. We'll talk about it later. These are different kinds of views. Broken views, breakout views. This is where some of your sectional view options will come in to play, where you could use these to help you with that. You can create a sketch in a view, but it won't be a real sketch like what you do in modeling. Annotation is all the dimensioning, including weld symbols and everything related to that. Sketching is not sketching like to extrude, it's just sketching to sketch. It's a different kind of sketching, I'll show you that. Under tools is where you have all your settings, and we'll talk about that when it comes to dimensioning your stuff. You have manage, you have view. I'm sorry, back to let me stay in manage real quick. Here, parameter styles editor. You're going to spend some time in there. Replacing model references, different types of borders, title blocks, defining the borders and title blocks. So if I go and say define a new border, that means I'm actually going to create a border. It doesn't mean that it's going to give me a template of borders. That's one of the things you have to appreciate. So I'm going to discard that. That's if you literally want to change this to your custom company's border. Okay? You can do that, but if you're on these computers, it doesn't, not much is going to happen, to be honest. So when you're through all this, you're going to realize it's not in here that you change your border information. It's over here. Your sheet is the sheet that you're in, like a tab. I can have a sheet 1, a sheet 2, a sheet 3, a sheet 4. I can have multiple sheets that belong to the same IDW. And it's true. Many times we'll do that. We're going to go ahead and if we want to, let's say we like this sheet and we want to add another sheet, we can go ahead and do that. But before we do that, we need to make some corrections to this one. Here's our default border, which is this border, and then there's something called ANSI large, which is the title block. If you open this up, then you have the ability to edit the text field within this title block. So under sheet, when I hit my right mouse button, that's where you're going to find some options. You can delete a sheet, you can have a base view, which is bring in a view, create sheet format if we wanted to, and we have something called edit sheet. When we click on edit sheet, it takes us the name. What's it going to be called? What do you want to call this thing? Sheet's fine. You can call it whatever name you want. The size is right here. A, B, C, D. I'm telling you we're going to use A size paper. You need to remember what A means. The nice part is it actually shows you in gray over here what A is going to be. Revisions. Let's say you make a correction. I give you back a drawing because you're going to print these out. These are going to actually print out for me to edit. When I hand it back to you, you're going to give me a revision to it, right? Well, the revision, you're going to want to make sure that it says A, revision A. You need to make sure that it does that, or B, or whatever. In our case, I'll allow one revision. So, and then you hit, if you were going to include, let's say make it a title page, then you'd want to exclude it from the count. Like if I have 5 sheets, for example, your final project is an assembly. You might have a 15-part assembly, but then you want to have a cover page to it. That cover page, you don't want to be counted as sheet 1. That's when you would exclude from the count. Okay? Then there might also be a page where you have your crazy notes about your project that you also, that maybe you don't want it to print. Not only do you not want it to count, but you don't want it to print. You just want it available when you look at it on the computer. That's what that is. Okay? These two are used a lot, especially in architectural, civil, mechanical type prints that are related to building construction. Because there we will do multiple pages, one for codes, one for just electricians, another one just for the mechanical side, another one for plumbing. There's a whole bunch of different kind of sheets that we do when it comes to construction. In this case, we're just doing straightforward mechanical drawings. But some of your assembly drawings, you might have a page of notes for yourself, for all I know. That you don't necessarily want to print. When you are done with editing everything, this, by the way, over here, orientation is where is your, like, is it going to be portrait or landscape? Is over here. And then this is where is my border going to, my title block going to appear. Because you can actually relocate. In our case, we're not, but I'm just showing you that you can. When you hit OK, the whole thing gets really small. And then you're like, whoa, ANSI large is really large. That's a very large title block. You do not want a title block to own your drawing. That's not its purpose. So what's neat is up here, I was avoiding it every time I wanted to click on it. I moved my mouse away. Up here is something called drawing resources. If I open this up, in here I have many things. I have sheet formats. I have A size. I have borders, different types of borders. I have title blocks, different types of title blocks. ANSI large is the one that is here. ANSI A is the one that's for A size borders, the smaller title block. So if I click down here, you might want to click up here. You might be tempted to hit insert, and you're going to get an error message that says, hey, you already have a title block in your drawing. You can't insert another title block. Yeah, would it be nice? It says delete the existing title block before inserting a new one. Would it be nice if it just did a swap? Well, that still doesn't exist. I've been wishing this for a good, 5 versions of this software. I haven't yet seen it. So when you hit OK, it's not going to swap it. You actually have to go down here, click on ANSI large, right mouse button, and delete it. Then you can go back up here, go to ANSI A, right mouse button, and insert it. Cool? And it is a much smaller title block. But it's still not small enough. Okay? Because it still takes up too much room in my book. My book. So let me show you how to fix that. When you click on ANSI A, right mouse button, edit definition. When you edit definition, now you get to see the actual title block. All the little things inside the brackets are code. So when you go down here where it says field text, that's what they are. All those little brackety things are the code that says, hey, creation date, and you can type that in. Company name, you can type that in a chart format. Let me show you before we start tweaking this guy. I'll say no to changes. Again, down here, if I minimize this and open this up again, see where it says field text and I edit field text? This entire chart of content, all of this check by, manufacturer approval, all this stuff, these property fields are, when I go up here, right mouse button, edit definition, are these. Author, check by. Anytime you see the double bracket, the less than and greater than symbol and something in between, that's a code. Okay? That is not just text. That is tied to the field text editor right here. Okay? Author, checked by, manufacturer, approved by. And when you type in stuff, if you, right now you're not typing in anything, you have to jump over to iProperties to get into the sections. Like if I typed in, I don't know, what shall I type in for the title? What was it called? 1 of 24. And then the subject, who knows? Manager, I don't know. That's the person's name. I don't know. Sorry. I gotta have a little funny, a little humor there. Let's see. This one, what do we want to call our company just for fun? Throw a name out at me. Acme? Is that the usual? Acme? What is it? Acme? What do they make in that show? Anvil Company? Huh? Anvils. We'll just call it Acme. Project. Oh, I forgot. Category, don't know. Keyword, project. Part number. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stock number. Let's just say NA. Description, thing. Revision number. That's revision again. Project. Pain in the, no. Designer. Engineer, authority. So if I say engineer, Daffy Duck. Gotta have a little fun. D-Duck. Daffy Duck. Get it? Alright, and we go down the line. When I do all this in here and I hit apply, it is actually updating here. So there it is. Drawn in design 1. Nothing else is filled in here. Acme, there's Acme. There's the title. There's the size. There's the drawing number. See that? So it starts filling in based on what I did in the chart. I don't have, when you look in the edit field, I filled in company title, sheet size, part number, sheet number, number of sheets. The number of sheets will change if I add sheets. Let's see, the creation date and the author. The author is design 1. I did go in here and we did have an engineer, Daffy Duck. But Daffy Duck, none of this is in here. Under project, the engineer's here, but the drawn by person isn't here. That's under summary. The author, J. Doe, Jane Doe. There. Now if I do this, there you go. See how it changed? So that's what's in the brackets. So when we edit the definition of the title block, we don't necessarily need all this content. We really don't even need the author unless you want your name on it. We could always save that part. But the rest of it we don't need. We don't need checked. We don't need that content either. We don't need the QA information. We don't need the manufacturing information. We don't need the approved information because I'm not going to run it through that manner. We need the size. Yes, the size paper. Drawing number is fine. Revision is fine. Sheet's fine. Scale is fine. So out of all this, we kind of took a lot out. The company, if you want a company name, go ahead. I don't think we need a title, but I think we can always use a company name. But notice when I move stuff, you see how it moves in an odd manner? The reason it moves in such an odd manner is because everything is defined. See all the dimensions here? All of these dimensions are in there defining how everything should be laid out. So if I start eliminating things, which I just did, then it also eliminates those barriers. Then I can literally take something and get a little closer to it. I can actually, can I move it? Or is it all locked in together? What do you think's in the way? If I try to move this guy, what's it doing? What's it attached to? It's attached to this line. It's got something else. It's not a dimensional constraint. What's the other constraint? Geometric. Constraint of geometry. As I erase things from here, then I start getting freedom of motion because I've eliminated what was in the way. So if I leave drawn by, notice how this moves? See that? Take creation, if I need that, or I could just leave author, who drew it. You can create, in essence, a custom title block. See that? It takes a little bit of finagling. The constraints are your dimensional constraints up here. You have certain things that are in the way. as you start trimming this down, it is like a real sketch. Why? Because it is a real sketch. You'll start being able to clean this up and eliminate pieces that you don't want in here. I'm actually wiping out a big chunk of stuff that's in here in order to be able to slim down the border, the title block, I mean, that's going to be inside the border, to something that's a little more manageable. If I say finish sketch and say yes to saving the edits, see that? Now you end up with a slimmed down title block. It's not so intense. The drawing number, you want it to be 3 of 24. I made it 1, 2, 3, 4. So that can be fixed when you edit the text field and you go into iProperties. When you go to project, that part number is 1 of 24. Okay, the descriptions, all that doesn't matter for this purpose. When I hit close and OK, there you go, it updates. Now it doesn't matter what I name my file. Remember how I said earlier, naming your files will help you here? But in this case, I eliminated title. Did you notice that? That was one of the things I eliminated. Because I wanted a thinned down title block. The other thing I could eliminate is this line here. Okay, that will allow me to drag this over a bit more. You notice how something just went upside down? So be careful. See how when I move it, one of the tags turned upside down on me. So be careful how you move things. Unless you have a really long name, I would probably tell you to shorten this up to only the length that you need for your name. If I drag this over a bit more. And when you finish the sketch, you'll have a nicely tightened up, clean border. Or you can make your own. I don't care. I'm just showing you how to at least edit the one that's there. This, however, will not save on these computers. So if you want to make a custom border, you're going to have to now at this stage, before you do anything, you want to do a save as, and you want to change this to a folder that you're going to have access to, number one. But the file name is this drawing number. We are going to options. Yeah, this is all fine. You can hit save. Make sure to go to a file folder that you can save to. The other thing is you can export this. And nope, to a DWG. That's not going to help you. Let me see. You're going to save copy as template. See that? If you are using your own computer, you can do this. Because when I click Save Copy as Template, and I'm going to call it Thing, just to call it something. I'm going to call it Thing. You see how standard is right there? And when you look at your templates, it saves to your C drive inside your folder where you're putting Inventor 2019, which is wherever it's saved on your computer, under the second subcategory called templates. If it's not saved there, you will have the following issue. See, it's there. If you don't save it there, now let me just exit it. I go to File, New. Here I will have to pick New. If you don't save it there, did I mess up? I could have. You won't have access to it here. Because the only thing that shows up here, let's see where it may have gone. There it is. I had to go up to the top level. Because this is English US, English, metric, mold design. So when I go to the top level of templates, there's Thing. Up here. If it's not saved in that folder, in this subcategory right here, you see where it says Users, Public, Documents, Autodesk Inventor 2019 Templates? That's the only thing you're going to see in here. You'd have to change the home location to somewhere else for it to see wherever it is you chose to save your template, which is not the best situation. Okay? So you want to just go here, and there's thing, and that you can work with, because now you have thing as a template you can pick. You'll see the video, you can watch it again. Again, when you go to File and New, and this time you do have to hit New, and go to the top level, that's where you'll find your file. If you are using these computers in this room, though, what happens is when you shut the computer down, turn it back on, that file is gone. That's why I say making templates in here is not that easy. But that's your step one, making a template. If you really, the true beginning is to make a template. Then it would be making a detailed drawing. Now, let me cut off the video here for the template, because that way you can have it available for you. If I'm looking how to make a template in AutoCAD Inventor, this is how you do it.